hauling heavy cargo on stock suspension can get a little questionable at times, but these HD variable rate rear coil springs can turn that around for your 2009 and newer Ram 1500. I do want to mention though that these are not compatible with the Rams that have Air Ride or the Rebel RHO or TRX models, so just keep that in mind while you're shopping around. Nonetheless, this set of variable springs is ideal for the Ram owner searching for more control and more comfort when hauling those heavier loads, towing those larger trailers, or just carrying heavier cargo in the back most of the time. Now that can be in a work truck situation day to day, or even in an overland situation where the gross weight in the back is much higher than normal and you want some more control to manage all of that extra weight. Now this set of springs' biggest feature is the variable rate, or otherwise known as a progressive rate, which essentially means that the springs have a softer feel to start, but once you start adding more weight to the rear, the spring starts to stiffen up. Now that makes for a more controlled driving experience, especially under heavier loads where the springs normally could feel a little bit squishy or squirrely, especially with a larger trailer or anything extended behind the truck. Now the increased stiffness under load also helps to reduce body roll, which is just another way that you can feel more comfortable and confident while driving your Ram, even in the toughest of situations. It also reduces a lot of that sag or the squat that you normally get when towing, so it's going to make for a more level stance when you have anything heavy on the back. Now these have a fairly simple construction with a high-grade steel build and a black powder coat on top, being strong enough to hold up to those tough pressures of extra weight over time, and the powder coat resists any rust, maintaining the integrity of the spring even in tough weather and road conditions. These are also a direct replacement for the factory springs, so these just pop into place for an immediate improvement, which we will show you in just a second. This set is about $350 for the two rear springs that you see here, which is fairly average for a set. Now comparing these to others available on the site, there are a couple different options for spring rates depending on what your goal is for your truck. So if your focus is on towing or that extra load on the back, a variable spring like this is a better option compared to something like a linear or a constant spring. Now, these are also stock height compared to others with different height variations. So if you know you're looking for the stock height and a better ride when towing or hauling, this is a great set for you. My install is a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and with the right tools, experience, and setup, it should only take about an hour or so to get the job done. Now at this point, I'm going to hand it over to one of our installers, and they're going to show you a detailed breakdown on how you can pop these into place. So that is going to wrap it up for what I have to say. Let's go ahead and jump into the install.
Tools required for this install include an impact gun, 16 and 21 millimeter sockets, 21 millimeter wrench, a pry bar, and a pole jack or floor jack. What's up guys? Today we're installing rear coil springs on our Ram, so let's get started. So to remove our rear coil spring, we're going to start on our sway bar end link here. Now I've got a pole jack underneath the axle supporting the weight while we disconnect this stuff. So take a 16 millimeter socket, I'm just going to disconnect it from the frame up here. And just let that hang off to the side for now. And now we'll just hop down to our lower shock mount. Got 21 millimeter socket and wrench to pull this one out. And now I'm just going to pull down on the shock a little bit. And now I'm just going to lower down my pole jack until I have enough room to pull this spring out. Now I'm just prying down on the axle. And now I've just got a pry bar underneath of our track bar. I've lowered my pole jack down, so now it's just resting on our control arms. I'm just gonna pull that down until I can pop this spring off. pull your isolator off, you are going to be reusing that. So now we can take our new spring. We're going to put our isolator right on top of that, putting the end of the spring in that cutout. And then we can raise this up and into that mount. And then we'll start raising up our pole jack to lift this axle and get that spring seated up top. So I'm just using one hand to guide it up, one hand to turn the pole jack. Now it's nice and secure in that mount. Just gonna raise it the rest of the way back up, and then we'll reconnect our shock and our end link. So now we can get our shock lined up in our bottom mount, slide our bolt through, and thread our nut on the other side. And then take your 21mm socket and wrench to tighten that down. And now we'll just do that same thing with our end link. And then take your 16mm socket, tighten that down, and then you can repeat the same process on the other side. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the HD variable rate rear coil springs for your 2009 and newer Ram 1500 without air ride and excluding Rebel, RHO, and TRX. Thank you for watching, and for all things Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.